out of this hall and you go towards the generator, you will see the convenience. The convenience, the male and female, is to the left of the generator. And for the children, the restroom is towards the right. You just walk towards this direction and you see the restroom. Okay. I want to give a brief rundown of the program. This program has transformed lives in the last few years. It took off 2018, and this is the 5th edition. Let's put our hands together. This is the biggest parenting summit in the South-South zone, and we have had resource persons from all walks of life. Over the years, this platform has hosted professionals in different fields, like Reverend Christy Bature, the CEO of 180 Degrees Rehabilitation Center. I'm sure you know that. Madam Peggy Aduke, the proprietor of CETA International School. And it has also hosted the Niger Code Kids and a lot more. Please put your hands together for that. The visionary of this summit is the lead pastor of the Wisdom Place Church, Pastor Wisdom Asiri. And 360-degree parenting is aimed at helping parents to holistically equip them to parent their children in the world. It is also to equip parents with the skills necessary to train children physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually. Please put your hands together, please. The rules of parenting that worked in the past can no longer be relied on. We can all agree to that. Most times, the way our parents parented us, if you do the same today, they will ask you questions. They will ask you questions. How many of us know that our parents' eyes used to talk? Do we know that? Our parents' eyes talked, but today, our eyes still talking. In fact, there's a way you look at them and say, Mommy, what's wrong with your eye? Mommy, is your eyes hurting you? Because the times have changed. Majority of our parenting theories from the early centuries are currently obsolete and irrelevant, to say the least. Recent studies show that most parents parent the way they were parented. Do we agree? You will always want to try that. But when we try, we see that it fails, because 21st century is different from the 20th century. Praise the Lord. I'm still on the church platform. Okay. This year has a special twist. And the 360-degree teenager, which is ongoing at the teenage hall, if we observe, the teenagers just exited the hall. They were all there. They are on their way to the hall where they will be having their 360-degree teenager experience. Please, if you still have your teenager with you, you can go to the front desk or quickly have him or her exit the hall and join the others. Thank you very much. This program is a free event powered by the Wisdom Place. It's our pastor's gift to making our society a better place. If you look to my right behind you, you will see the information desk, which also doubles as the book stand. So if you look at the place, you see a lot of books already there. And there are numerous books written by Pastor Favor and Pastor Wisdom. One of the books written specifically for this summit is the 360-degree parenting. Please just put your eyes out for that book. You will absolutely love it. I've read it more than 3 times. I'm a mother myself. I have 2 kids. And the book has done miracle to my skill as parenting. As a parent, sorry. Thank you for listening. Okay. Other books you'll find there are Odogu, Advanced Toasting Technique, How Not to Marry an Idiot. Please, idiot is an acronym. And The Courage to Say No. So please, we'll have time for books where you can just go behind and take a look at the books. Please, always buy books. Books are so important. 2 days ago, my daughter walked up to me and said, Mommy, you're always reading. Every time I come. Every time. I said, is it bad? She said, no, but I said, do I not watch TV? She said, yes. So well, it's true, Sha. It's true. It's okay. It's okay. And when she left, I said, it's a good thing. It's not just to watch TV, it's not just to do, it's also good to read. There was a story that went online that says a man put a key in a book, a car key for his son, in a book and gave to the child. And the boy never knew the car key was in the book because he just dropped it. So we have to read. There's a lot you can pick from books. So at this point, I'm going to ask us nicely to bring out our phones, because some of us, we try to invite our friends. They give us one excuse or the other why they can't be here. But we know that everyone, today, like 98% of people have smartphones. So let's bring out our phones quickly. Please bring out your phone. Let's go on social media quickly, sorry. Bring out your phones, join me now. Indulge me, please. Bring out your phone and quickly go to your Facebook page or Instagram or YouTube. Let us search out the Wisdom Place. Search it out and click follow. When you follow, you can also search out at Osiri Wisdom, which is the lead pastor of the Wisdom Place Church. You can also click follow. On all the platforms, you can hit the subscribe button, the notification bell to always get content from the platform. And also tag your friends. Tag your friends so they can join us live, because the program is ongoing, is going on live. At this point, let us give a warm welcome to our online guests. Quickly. A warm welcome to our online guests. A round of applause for our online guests, please. Thank you very much, everybody. At this point, I'm going to invite our first speaker for today. Sorry, just a moment. Okay. I'll invite our first speaker for today. Charles Thomas is a pragmatic young leader saddled with a passion for business strategy and life coaching, with a focal point on teenagers and young adults. His passion for the next generation has seen him through about a decade in the area of teen mentoring, educational consultancy, and teens youth revival. In these years, Charles volunteered actively with Ken Cater's Youth Foundation, Gemstone Foundation, Hype Foundation, a foundation that harnesses young people early, Teens Vibe, and many other, all towards teen youth reformation and capacity building. He's currently leading the Wise Teens Initiative, the teenage ministry of the Wisdom Place Church, particularly offering mentorship and coaching to the teenagers. Charles is also known to go around secondary schools training the students on peak performance in their academics and imbibing values and wisdom for success in life. He genuinely seeks to see young people mad. Here, MAD stands for Make a Difference. With a foundation in civil environmental engineering from the prestigious University of Port Harcourt, Charles passionately goes on to pursue a career in management consulting, and he is a lover of God. With a standing ovation, please, let's put our hands together for our first speaker for today, Mr. Thomas Charles.
Thank you very much. Okay. Good morning. Please, you can be seated. Wow. My name is Charles Thomas, and I'm 27 years old. I was 27 about a week ago. And I like to think of myself as an overgrown teenager. Yeah. I'm really excited. It's a huge privilege and honor to stand on this platform and this altar. I want you to please help me celebrate my pastor and my pastors, Pastor Wisdom Osiri and Pastor Favor Osiri. It's a big deal for me. It's a really, really big deal for me. I came in contact with them 2013 as a teenager. And years down the line, here I am serving in this platform, in this church, in this capacity. Please help me once again. Let me celebrate my pastors, Pastor Wisdom Osiri and Pastor Favor Osiri. So, like I said, I like to think of myself as an overgrown teenager. And I'm not far from the teenagehood. So, it's a big deal for me standing here because a couple years ago, I never saw myself as this person. Truth is, I never even knew what I wanted to do in my life. As a teenager, I had a very interesting childhood, and I lost my dad at age 10, and it wasn't easy because I hope the parents here, you have assets for your teens, landed asset, real estate, and all of that. My dad left nothing, like NOTI, nothing. So it was really crazy having to grow up, and I didn't even know if I was able to go to secondary school, but then, so I was a Catholic, I was raised a Catholic, and then my dad has this friend, and they were all friends together in church, and then what happened was, he loved me, he had a son that was my friend, we're about the same age, so he took me up and began to cater for my schooling, began to take me through school, he paid my fees and all of that, and they were rich kids, they were rich, and my friend had other rich friends. So as a result of that, I began to mingle with those rich fellows, with those rich kids. And you want to also understand that the environment was different. So I saw rich kids, we were teenagers, 15, 16, they had cars, they could drive. So because of that, I went into a lot of things. We went partying, went clubbing at that age. At that time, I knew very many of the clubs in Port Harcourt, Casablanca, Temptations. I was 15 years old. And then we had these sessions, we'll go drinking, clubbing, and smoking, a lot of things that I ventured into at that time. But the good thing was the fact that I looked very innocent, just like I do now. I looked very good to be that person. So nobody ever believed that this was that person. So I got into a lot of things, and, even in school, SST, I got expelled from school. I I'd become a cultist at some point. So when it was time to go to university, I was supposed to go to FUTO, Federal University of Technology, Owerri. And one of the reasons I wanted to go there was because for my post-UM, I had already gone there and I'd met some persons, and it was already agreed that, okay, all you needed to do was just get accepted into school, and officially you get backed up to become a cultist. So, that was my dream life. That was what I wanted to do at that time. And all of a sudden, so it all happened one day. I was walking down from jam lesson. So what I do in jam lesson is, after jam lesson, I follow my friends and we tour around. So jam lesson closes like 6 o'clock, and we walk around, and I'm back home by 10 o'clock. Yeah, so, okay, so that I can be nice, because I was in the Catholic church, I was a mass server, and I will go back to church. I will just get into church compound, and I'll go back home. So that when I get home, when they ask me, where did you come from? I say, I came from church. In my head, I didn't lie. So that was my teenagehood. And one of those days, I was coming back, and someone called me. He was standing by the side, and I was like, you, come. That was all he said. You, come. And sheepishly and foolishly, I walked up to him. That was not me, because at that time, I was very proud. You can't just call me like that. No, I won't come. So I just came, and he began to talk about a lot of things. Talked about a foundation that was down the street where I stayed, how they're doing a lot of things, how they love young people, they're reaching out to young people and all that. And they're organizing this program called Jam Connection Lecture, preparing young people for JAMB exams and all that. So he invited me to the program. I was like, okay, let me see. With all pride. Let me see. So one of those days I went for the program, and it was supposed to be by 3. I came by 5, and I sat at the back. And I just listened and listened. It didn't make sense to me. But I kept coming. And he always followed me up. He just kept following me up. And then I still remember one of those days, September 2011, where at the garage of the Youth Foundation, Ken Carter's Youth Foundation, and he said something to me that I never forget. It's still in my heart up to today. And when I talk to teenagers, I say it to them too, because that's where, I feel like that's where my life changed. So he told me, there's more to you than you know of now. Princio Okafor, that's his name. He said, there's more to you than you know of now. I didn't understand what that meant. I just, okay. And there he led me to Christ, but I was not born again at that time. Okay, I was born again at that time, but I became born again. January 2nd, 2012. So I traveled for Christmas and I still did some really crazy things I was always doing. And then when I came back that time, I was like, I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life, but at the time when I came back on the 1st of January 2012, I just knew that this is not what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I wanted to be more. I knew I wanted to do more. And so I walked up to him, I said, sir, I don't know what I want to do in my life actually, but I'm seeing you and I feel like I want to be like you. And there he prayed with me. That was when I know that I became born again. The other one is me, and it's God that knows about that one. But this is the one I knew about. So I became born again, and I was very passionate as an unbeliever. I had a lot of energy. I did all the things I did with a lot of strength and with a lot of energy. And so for me, it was that now you've decided to be born again, man, transfer this energy. So I came into Christianity with a lot of energy, with a lot of strength, with a lot of passion. And I started looking, I was like, what are these people doing? Because he had a friend, Michael, and I'd always come around and I'd look at them. The way they talk, I'm like, these guys, how do people know all these kind of things? And so in this youth foundation, this youth organization, there were young people like me. And then we'll come for an event, we'll come for a meeting. And what they're talking about is the book I read. Have you read this book? Have you done this thing? I'm like, are these people like I don't understand. When I come around my friends, I talk about girls. I talk about other things. I talk about the party. And for me, that was a whole new environment altogether. And I was like, okay, fine, let's give this a try. So I delved into it. I began to read books. I began to study the Bible. I was not understanding anything, but I just kept reading. Later, I understood what the Bible says in 2 Corinthians 3:18. But we all with unveiled faces, beholding as in a glass the glory of God, we are changed into his image from glory to glory, even by the Spirit of God. So all I needed to do was just behold. As I kept beholding, I was becoming. As I kept beholding, I was becoming. As I kept beholding, I was becoming. So, this is particular to me because for some of us now, as parents, we want to keep hitting on our teenagers. We want to keep hitting on our teenagers. We want to keep telling them what they should not do, who they should not be around, what they... cut them some slack. Just show them what they need to do and allow them. Nobody ever told me to stop drinking. Nobody ever told me to stop doing all of those things. Nobody ever told me to stop listening to the songs I was listening to. Nobody ever told me to stop dressing the way I was. I was never told. I was never told. All of a sudden, I was like, I don't like these songs anymore. I just went up to him. I deleted everything. I said, sir, please give me songs from your phone. He never told me anything. He just kept introducing me. I just kept being around that. And this is one of the things I need us to understand. You see, because parenting is like marriage. For those of us that are married or you're in a relationship, you realize that what you needed at least before you got married, and even as you're married, now as a woman being with a man, the man is a teacher. The man is your pastor. The man is all of those things, but that's not what you need. You don't need a pastor. You don't need a teacher. You don't need a husband, actually. You don't even need a boss. You don't need all those things. What you needed was companionship. What you needed was a friend. Now, in being an accurate friend, he's able to dispel all those other functions. All he needed was just to be a friend. When you had trouble in the office, you just needed somebody to listen to you, not to tell you what you were supposed to do, what you weren't supposed to do, where you went wrong, or where you didn't go wrong. And that's what we need. That's what our teenagers need from us. That's what we need from you as parents. All we need from you is just a friend. We just want you to be friends. A lot of us lose our teens because we keep being parents to them. So we are not able to parent them effectively because we are trying to be parents. We are trying to get them to understand that we have authority over them. Like, they are supposed to do this, they're not supposed to do this. You're supposed to hang out with this person, you're not supposed to hang out with this person. You're supposed to wear this, you're not supposed to wear this. Cut them some slack. Just allow them to be. And be friends with them. Now, in being friends with them, that's when you're now able to be a father. That's when you're able to be a mother. That's when you're able to be a pastor. That's when you're able to be a teacher. That's when you're able to be a boss. All of those things are only possible when you have that friendship. When I hang out with my teens, I'm like, I tell them, I'm your guy. We were walking down yesterday together, and everybody were like, they're just looking at us. And I got around some of them, and they were like, Sir Charles, you're wearing shorts. I said, yes, I wear shorts. And Nike pumps too. I said, yes. I'm just your guy. And that's the only way you can be able to have impact with them. Impact is simply impact. It's what you pack inside of them. I can't give you entry inside this. If I don't give you entry inside this office or this environment, this room, to put stuff, you won't put it. No matter how beautiful or whatever it is, if I don't give you access to my life, you can't make an impact in it. So it's friendship that creates access. It's friendship that creates access. And that's what I had. So I just began to become this person. And over the years, I realized that this is what I wanted to do. Over the years, I realized what I wanted. So at some point, it was time to go to university. And I wanted to go to FUTO. But then I'd become born again. And I didn't know how to hear God, but I heard something and I knew it was God. What I heard that day was, if you go to FUTO, you won't come back. I heard it. I didn't know how to hear, but I heard I knew it was God. If you go to FUTO, you won't come back. And all of a sudden, my passion changed. I was like, I'm not going to FUTO again. And I was like, I want to go to Uniport. I want to go to Uniport. I want to go to Uniport. I hated everything about Uniport. But God took me to Uniport to change everything about it. Because my time in Uniport, you wouldn't have schooled in Uniport at the time I was there, and you don't know Charles Thomas. I was aggressive. I was radical. I was everywhere. I preached in every class. I preached in every single class that was in that school at the time I was there. Even in postgraduate. One of the days I wanted to preach in postgraduate, I had to dress up very well. I carried a bag, and I just walked there, and the sheriff was... I just walked inside, and elderly people, they were sitting there waiting for a class, and I just went up, hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Charles Thomas. I want to talk to you, listen about, and I just started talking. So I had come in with so much passion. And so when I go into class to preach, I don't try to appeal to them. I just go and I'm jumping on top of lockers, and I'm, hello, good morning, everybody, and I'm just shouting. And everybody's listening. And they're like, who is this guy? Because I didn't even come in looking like an average Christian. I'm coming in with a ripped jean, with a face cap, and I'm talking about Jesus. And trust me, a lot of young people, I saw cultists come to Christ in school. I saw people that were, in fact, there was one time I met a guy, Jephthah Organ, and this guy he would wear a trouser and wear a shirt on it. He had earrings, he had nose rings, he had this one. When I even saw him, I was like, I don't understand this type of person. And he started coming for my meetings. And one of the days, he said something to me that changed my life. He said, do you know why I kept coming? I said, no. He said, because you never said anything about how I looked. All of a sudden, one of the days he came, he didn't have the nose piercing. And I was like, Jeff, how far now? What happened? He was like, I just felt like taking it off. One of the days he came, one of the days he came to me, he said, he wants to start dressing like me. I was like, oh, really? I never told him a thing. I just lived my life. I just became friends with them. I just kept mentoring them. And so over the years, I just kept doing that. I just kept being me. And that's what we need to do as parents. We need to stop doing and just begin to be. That's what the word tells us anyways. God said, let us make man in our image and our likeness and let them have dominion. Let's create something that will look like us, that will be like us, that will act like us, and then it will have dominion. So God created what will be like him. It is in your being that you can have impact. Not in your doing, not in your shouting. Because even a lot of times we try to tell our teens what to do or what not to do, but we don't tell them what to do. Don't watch this. Okay, what should I watch? Because life aborts vacuum. There must be something there. Don't keep telling me what to do, what not to do. Tell me what to do. You don't want me to watch this. Okay, what should I watch? You don't want me to hang out with this person, so where should I hang out? And these were the kind of things that began to change my life. So I got really aggressive and I began to study. I began to attend every training I could attend. I began to, I'm 27, but I have a mind of a 40-year-old. And that's what happens to your teens when they hang around me. I've seen teenagers, young people, and they're thinking business, they're thinking finance, they're thinking impact. That's what happens when you just let go and just leave and just let God reveal himself through you. So I went into school and I was just passionate about God. I was passionate about God, doing everything I was doing with all passion. I like to call myself a Jesus junkie. I don't know if you know what a junkie is. Junkies are people that smoke, they drink, they're high on meth. They just look. You just see them and this one is like this. So I'm just that kind of person. If you don't want to see aggressive evangelism, you don't want to see aggressive, don't come around me because I can't hold myself. I'm high on this thing. So I'm a Jesus junkie. And that was how I just kept living my life in school. At that time in school, there was we had a VC then. His name was Professor Ajayinka. He was an echist. And somewhere along the line, he banned every spiritual activity in school. I think she's affirming to that. I feel you know what I'm talking about. Yes. He banned every spiritual activity in school. No fellowship, no anything. And I said, no, it can't happen. Not when I'm here. Because before then, during my pre-degree level, one of the times I remember I was up at, what do they call that place again? The arena. I was up there and I told God, I said, God, give me Uniport or I die. This was somebody that I was the total opposite of the things I was saying before then. But I had erupted with a different passion. And God asked me a question, can you handle it? I said, well, it's your grace that will help me handle it. And that was how impact began. That was how transformation began in Uniport. I'd go into, at that time, Hilton 2 was the baddest lodge in Uniport. That was where the Vikings D1 lived. I went there to preach. I was in 100 level. I heard in my prayer time, God told me, go and preach in Hilton 2. I didn't know where it was. I started asking guys, where is Hilton 2? And they told me, and I went there and I preached. I went into people, they were smoking. They were like, I want to talk to you. Hope you don't mind. He said, no, I'll talk now. And when I'm done, they are dropping their stuff. One of the times in my lodge where I lived, I was just there and some guys, they were passing, young people, they were passing with red light. I was like, no, not these people. And I was so angry in my spirit. I walked up to their room and I collected it. I was collecting it from their mouth, collected everything, put it inside the ashtray and picked it up and I walked up to my room. I was that kind of crazy person. And if somebody does that to you, if you first of all wonder, like, what's giving you this kind of mind? And they went to report me to some big guys in the lodge there. And they came down and told me that these guys are calling me. I said, okay, tell them I'm coming. And I delayed for another 10 minutes. I just sat down. I was doing nothing. I was stubborn. And eventually I went up there and they were telling me, what did they give you this kind of mind? I said, no, they can't be doing that. And one of them was like, I know this guy, they calm, this guy. And I said, they can't be doing that. And eventually, so that was my passion. That was my passion all through school. At that time during Ajayinka, he said, no spiritual activity again. If you know Uniport very well, there's a place we call Lawn Tennis Court. That's where we always go to pray. And I went there to pray one of the days, and they had locked it. I looked for a stone, and I broke the padlock, and I went inside, and I prayed. A sheriff came to me and was like, trying to beckon. I said, hold on, I'm praying. When I'm done, I'll answer you. When it was done, he came, and he was like, the school said, I said, no, I have to pray here. You can't stop us from praying here. I was that aggressive. And I saw young people transform. I saw young people change. I saw young people birthed with fire, with passion. I'm saying that your young person, your teenager, can become more than you know they are now if you give them the opportunity to. All you need to do is just allow them. Just let them be. What happens to your teenage son if he walks up to you tomorrow and says he needs a nose piercing? What will you do? You'll be like, I bind that demon that's speaking inside of you. But guess what? What we need as teenagers, like I told you before, I'm an overgrown teenager. What we need as teenagers is acceptance. Your first response to every teenager should be acceptance. Whether you like it, you don't like it, accept it first. It is in acceptance you can correct. You may be able to just immediately lash out to an adult, but my guys are over there, they know what I'm saying. You can immediately lash out to an adult, but not a teenager. If he says, I want to become a music producer, you don't like it, but just accept it. Then later, now, say, this thing you say you want to do again. So have you really thought of it very well? Because most times we lose them at first sight. When they just come in with this and we're like, how will you say that kind of thing? You've lost him. He can't even come to you on anything again. He can't come to you on anything again. I mean, around my teens, and I'm like, who are you crushing on? You'll be like, how will you be asking somebody? How you are trying to sow a negative? No, because they are doing this. They can't tell you because they feel like if they tell you, you will not understand. And not just that you won't understand, you will lash at them and tell them why they should not do this. And so you're already losing them. So the simple thing is identify and accept. When you've identified and accepted them, then you can be able to change. One of my teenagers here, when I first came, when he first came to church, he braided his hair, very beautiful cornrows and packed at the back, and later on he removed the rubber band that was tying it, and it was, and I looked at him, I was like, why did you remove it? It was better the way it was before. Like the way you tied it before, it made more sense. I mean, you feel like, are you encouraging him to do that? Oh, he has already done it. You better accept it or else you will lose him. I told him the way you packed it before was better. And he was like, oh, nice. 2 weeks later, I came and I was like, how far, what of your brain? I said, I just removed it. I didn't tell him don't or do. So it's acceptance. Acceptance. So over the years, I've gone around schools. I worked with Dr. Ken Carter's for a very long time. And this is what we're doing, going around schools. I caught the passion, going around talking to people and all that, young people. And we've seen a whole lot of things in young people. I volunteered at Gemstone, and I've been with several other teenage bodies. Several other teenage bodies. And I can tell you, teenagers are no different from anywhere. A teenager in Nigeria is the same as a teenager in the US, is the same as a teenager in Canada. They all have the same passions. I'm sorry about that, but your teenagehood is not the same with our own teenagehood now. So you need to even understand that. Your teenagehood is not the same as now. Then they tell us, don't use phone, don't use phone, don't use phone. Right now, you don't tell people don't use phone. Now you tell them, okay, use phone for this. Use phone in this. They don't go out, don't go out, don't go out. They cage you in the house. You don't do that now. Because if you tell them don't go out, they will eventually go out. And when they go out, all the things they've not done when they will do it that time. So go out and come back by this time. That's your approach now. That's your approach now. Go out and come back by this time. Okay, who are you going out with? This, and this. So that's the passion that has, been in me for all this while. And right now I go to secondary schools talking to young people, and I'm just talking, and then they're like, I was talking in one secondary school, and the teacher told me the day before that, thank God you just came today. You see this thing you just said now, this is what happened yesterday. And they'll tell me that this thing is plenty for us. People, young people, pastors, parents, teachers, they are struggling in parenting because they really do not understand how to work effectively with this generation of teenagers. So I'm going to end here. And what I want to understand is the fact that as an overgrown teenager, I'm representing my clan, okay? And I'm telling you, there's a way we want to be treated. There's a way we want you to parent us. There's a rent you need to pay. As a parent, you need to pay that rent. If you don't pay the rent effectively, you can't get the best out of us. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Please Let's make it a better round of applause. That was amazing. Wow. Born again, again. That was the first one that hit me. How many of us have been born again, again? You're born again the first time, may not do. You're born again the second time. In fact, I got to a point, I born again so much as I was coming out the last time, my bum said, yeah, you sit down. Born again is too much. Now only once you need them. Praise the Lord. Thank you so much, Mr. Charles Thomas. That was amazing. There is no story like your story. Our story is our experience platform. True or false? Thank you so much, sir. That was really inspiring. At this point, I'm going to invite our next speaker. Mrs. Ifoma Edith Chukwugo is a seasoned academic coach and life transformation expert who God gave the privilege to pioneer Jefferson Comprehensive Secondary School. Being a thorough and diligent lady who appreciates the value of quality education, she has used her God-given resources to model Jefferson into an excellent Christian school that trains up students in wisdom, in knowledge, in stature, and in favor with God and man. JCSS is one of the top schools in the city of Port Harcourt and is committed to developing young adults capable of enriching our world. She currently serves as a proprietress and administrator of the school. A passionate kingdom woman, Mrs. Chukwugo has provided several scholarships to those in need. She's a pastor, a mother, and a mentor to many. Please, with a loud round of applause, let us welcome Mrs. Ifoma Edith Chukwugo. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. I'm so happy to be in such a seminar, I can call it, on Workers' Day. Today is May Day. Workers are marching maybe in the Isigboro Park or somewhere, you know, and we are here listening to our parenting summit. Beautiful. I welcome you. I'm so grateful for being invited to this seminar where we have a cross-section of students, parents, advanced teenagers like Thomas. He has graduated from teenage to young adults, but not a man yet. So we have different clans and different tribes here, and I'm happy to talk with you. I thank God for Pastor Wisdom and his dear wife for inviting me, and I trust God to give me what I will speak to you, because like he said, parenting is paying rent. And the Bible said that children are heritage unto the Lord. The fruit of the womb is a reward. So we are only shorties. The real owner of children is God. So as shorties, we are paying rent. And that is why we are parenting. Is that not good? That's great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Transforming academic standards. That is what I'm asked to speak about in 30 minutes. I speak for 1 hour, 2 hours. So I pray God that 30 minutes will work for me. I pray and I pray that 30 minutes will work for me. So that means I'll be done by 11. I'll be done by 11 according to this my wristwatch, because that will be maybe 5 minutes plus or minus. So I'm told to talk about transforming an average child to an outstanding achiever. That is what we are expected to do as educators. When a child comes into a school, the child should be transformed. But the transformation must start at home. Must start at home. If it doesn't start at home, and you're not on the same page with the parents, there'll be a problem. And over the years, we have sort of neglected it by saying, no, the school will do. We make our children to be afraid of their teachers more than the parents. And we are also very busy looking for money to raise them. particularly in our era when school fees is no more cheap because of the components of the school and because of what the school gives. So you find that many a time parents renege from their duties of transforming a child. So I will start by saying that it is on time. This is a good place to talk about it. We have also seen what is happening with schools. We had the Dowen case. After the Dowen case, we had the Chrisland case. These are the only ones reported. And that's about 1%. The ones not reported, you don't know, I don't know. These ones made it to social media and we heard about them. So that gives you a picture of the larger society. That gives you a picture of what is happening. That children need parental guidance. They do. And it starts from home. So, but the topic says transforming an average child to an outstanding achiever. Like I said, academic excellence is the goal of every parent. I want my child to excel. I want my child to be the first in the class. So I think that it is right that we look for it. Or don't we need it? Do you want mediocrity? Do you want average children? They don't go far. They don't. Average people don't go far. It's people that excel that move forward. So it is our God-given job to do. Transforming means to completely change the appearance or form or character of something, especially in a way that it improves it. My brother Thomas told us how he got transformed. The Thomas that is speaking now cannot be compared to the Thomas of his secondary school. No, they are diametrically opposed and mutually exclusive. They're not the same at all. You can't see them together. That means there was a transformation. It wasn't a whitewash. It wasn't a sandpaper. Neither was it a retouch. It was a transform. Completely changed and for the better. Now upwardly mobile. Now he can tell you how it was then and this is now because he has gone through it. Then outstanding, extremely good, standing out. That is outstanding. Standing out, outstanding. Extraordinary, you put the extra on the ordinary. Above average, that is outstanding. Extremely, there's an extreme to it. It's not normal. Then achiever, someone who is successful because they are determined and they work hard. You are the one going to achieve it. Forget the era of exam malpractice. It's dying, you know. Are you aware it's dying? 24 schools have lost their WAEC centers this session in Rivers State. 24. Recently, the ambassador for the U.S. came. He was in Uniport at American Corner and invited some schools, and yours truly was there. And he said they don't use WAEC again to determine who comes to America. We said why? He said people leave Nigeria and West African region, the whole West Africa, and they come to America with a result, A. English, maths, physics, chemistry. Only for them to get to the university in America, and they can't get a GPA of 1.5. And you need a GPA of 2.6 to keep staying there. So they went back to say, where did water enter coconut before rainfall? This person has A in WAEC, a regional exam, a West African exam, and he can't get a GPA of more than 1.5. Something is wrong. Of course, you know they always do research and development. So they researched, and they said, obviously, he did not write the ASCUSAT or he cheated. Therefore, we will not use only the WAEC. We use school transcript, SAT, those exams that we write SAT, TOEFL, those ones that test your scholastic aptitude tests. Because those ones will tell them which grade you are. So achiever means you have to achieve it. Your parents can't write for you, I can't write for you. Outstanding achiever. It may interest you that why I started Jephthah is because my first son told me nobody can pass without cheating. I said, what? 1993. He said, Ma, you see, that teacher said so. I said, that your teacher is a cheat. But your parents are not cheats. Your father and myself passed CUSAT by ourselves. So, we cannot allow you to grow up like that. I looked at, I saw. I even discussed with somebody. I said, why is there cheating in schools? He said, you know, during the war, 1970, when the war was called off, students in the East were asked to go back to school. And they didn't want to lose the 3 years. So they went back to the class they were supposed to be. So in 1967, you were in class 5. 1970, after the war, you are writing CUSAT. And how else will you write it than ESPO? That is the origin of ESPO, apart from it being in small, small pockets. So I told my son, I said, no, I passed without cheating. You are going to pass without cheating. I had to pack up beautiful oil and gas job I was doing. Yeah. I have to pack up everything. And I told my family, I'm going to start a school. I'm going to raise my own. With this philosophy of no copy, no cheating, no aiding, no abetting. And that is how the school was born in 1995. And so it's genuine because you passed by yourself. So please, I want to look at achiever. Outstanding achiever. There are many people that have achieved, but they didn't achieve it themselves. Somebody achieved for them, but we are not in that area. Moreover, we are also Christians. It's a Christian faith-based. And in Christianity, I mean, you can't do the wrong thing in the right place. You can't cheat in a Christian organization. That is an oxymoron. Cheating as a Christian. No, now. It doesn't work together. So, friends, those are the definitions. You must transform. You must move from one side to the other. You must live average, and you must go to outstanding, and then you must achieve it by yourself. So, to move from one position to another, to move from average to outstanding, you will need the following. The cooperation of the person being moved. Like Brother Thomas told you now, that in their dispensation, you don't shout, you don't flog, you don't scream. Because what they are going to do is already in their mind. They have made up their mind. They say, okay, after backing, there's someone that call it banking, some call it ranting. Mommy is ranting. After ranting, what they are going to do, they are going to do. So you must need the cooperation of the person going to be moved. Number 2, you must need the cooperation of the encourager or the instrument of the move. That person has to cooperate. You also need the contribution of the peers. He was preaching from class to class in the university. That's a peer mentorship program. He's their peers. He wasn't a pastor. He wasn't ordained. He wasn't their seniors. He was also an undergrad. PEER. He saw that his peers needed Christ. They needed to leave that level, and he had to help them. And he has told us how he has done it in many schools and how it is working. Then number 4, the reward of the move by the community. Does the community encourage outstanding performance? Awards, calling the good good, not calling the non-participant the winners. I was a civil servant for many years. And when I was a civil servant, when they are giving awards, they will give award to non-participants. And those of us that participated will be there. But we're not friends to the rector. We're not friends to the VC. We're not friends to the director. And so when it is time for award, We won't be giving awards. That is the Nigerian system. Rewarding the non-participant. Rewarding the non-achiever. So if you want to transform from average to outstanding achiever, be willing to reward the achiever. I have children, they are big, they are married, they are in their homes now. But I know that when the result comes and we are traveling for holiday, if you have A, it's $500 for your pocket money. If you have B, it's 300. If you have C, it's 100. So your performance determines your reward. So when you see them struggling, I must make A, I must make B, it's diametrically proportional to the money they are going for holiday. Because it must be rewarded. And it should be rewarded. If it's not rewarded, then the achiever cannot transform. Let's say, after all man are the same. All man are the same, I beg. All these things the same. For what? In fact, please, can I have those posters? One of the reasons that made me to say it is very important, lie it here. It was supposed to be on the PowerPoint, but she didn't put it. Just lie it down on this side. So I permanently there. There are two of them. Lie one on this side, lie one on the other side. You can lie. No, what I mean by line, bring the up here. Bring this one here. They should see it. So turn to this side. And the other one on that side. Sorry, it's supposed to be in the PowerPoint, but I didn't remember to do it. After an examination, one of my sons, my third son, he said he got a D in a subject. And I said, son, D is not good now. Why should you score a D? He said, mommy, be glad. Be glad. There are many F9s. I said, I should be glad for D. He said, yes, mommy, be glad that I made a D. I said, do you know D is average? He said, mommy, be glad. I said, okay. I know how to handle it. I'm going to place a war in this house. And that is war against average. It's here. War against average. So nobody must score up below 60. And below 60 is failure. So a war started. So anything I find that they are comfortable with, whether reward or no reward, please put a war against it. War against it. Because in this war, they are complacent. It's after all, the people that didn't do well, they are the leaders of Nigeria, this and that and that and that. That doesn't mean. In your own space, in your own circle of influence, are you a parent? Are you a teacher? Are you a teenager? Are you a caregiver? War against it. Start by saying it is not okay for you to be average. Because children, they have their mindset. They will tell you, oh no, I have growth mindset versus fixed mindset. It will tell you, I can do, the growth one will tell you, I can learn and do anything I want. My efforts and my abilities. I like to try new things. I'm inspired by the success of others. Challenges help me grow. But the one that is average, who doesn't want to move, will tell you, I'm either good at this or I'm not. My potential is predetermined. I stick to what I know. I don't like to be challenged. Feedback is personal. Me, my, and I. So everybody just leave me. So you have to remove them, transport them from here to here. So this synergy is important for the success of transformation. We're in a parenting summit. I will end up with parents. But let me take the groups. I will go to the child now. I'm telling about, if you don't war against it, say you don't want the average, tell them the benefits of it. Tell them that outstanding people stand out. Tell them that background can put your back to the ground. So don't fail today thinking that tomorrow you will make your way out of it. So you need the cooperation of that child. And I'm happy that our brother, the testimony, has helped us a lot to talk about what you do with that child, that you need this cooperation. Sometimes talk directly. We parents, we are very busy. We have no time. We are working the money for his education. Education is no more cheap. Anywhere in the world, even abroad. No, if you want good thing, you pay for it. There are some schools of 10 million in this country. And some people tell me, those people are thieves. I say they're not thieves. You are paying for what you are getting. Everybody is priced by what you are getting. But the final aim is school start. I say yes. You can get school start at 1 naira and at 100 naira. You can eat a fish at Ofingo and Ungolo at 2 naira. And you can eat caviar at 1 million naira. All of them is fish egg. Caviar is fish egg. Caviar and champagne in Paris. But it depends on what is surrounding it. So the same way we have to tell our children and our people that are in our circle of influence that they need to move. They need to move themselves. They are like people with their destinies in their hands. There's an extent you can push somebody. Somebody like me, if you push me, I will spoil the matter. I remember that in my early years of marriage, my husband would tell me, don't do this. I say, I'm going to do it too. Please, sir, this is very important. It's very good to me. I'm going to do it. Please, sir. We use, love now, husband and wife. Materialize the person. You say, okay. At the end of the day, it will fail. And I'll tell him, well, why did you not stop me? He said, Former, nobody can stop you now. You have made up your mind to do it. You can force a horse to the river. You cannot force it to drink water. It's an English adage. But a Nigerian adage is that you can force him to drink water, then he will scatter the water. About 1 million, according to Igbo. He will use his mouth as if he's drinking. Meanwhile, he's scattering the water in the pond so that nobody can drink. He didn't drink, but use the water to scatter it. So there's no need for forcing. You need the cooperation of the child to be transformed. Not that you go the child's rights and extra. So there's an extra one they do in America. We have a Kingdom Training Institute in our school, a parenting institute that we are teaching. Some of the modules, I remove them. Nigerian child cannot call police for the father. I mean, it's uncultural. Put your culture also into consideration. The culture for your child. A child should respect the parents. A child should do what the parents want him to do, as long as it does not contravene God's law. That's why I say obey your father and your mother. So that is the role of the child. The role of the child must be put into consideration. Secondly, the cooperation of teachers and caregivers. The role of the teacher is to teach and to make learning take place. The joy of a good teacher is the success of his students. The performance speaks volumes of the expertise and experience. Teachers should continuously assess students to transform their performance. Use teaching aids, other means of encouraging the weak students is very necessary and important. The student is also meant to set goals, achievable goals, through different types of goal-setting methods, which we do in our school. At the beginning of the term, today is the first day of term in our boarding school, they will be setting goals. In mathematics, I'm going to have 75 or 80%. In English, I'm going to have this for this term. At the end of the term, when the results are out, if you met your goals, you go to principal's party. Oh yes, it's a la carte, condo blue cookery, and all the food is there, principal's party. And while you go to principal's party, you met your goals. The goals you set at the beginning. And if you set 90%, won't you work towards 90%? So caregivers and teachers, make your children, your students to set goals. Achievable goals. There's a reward for goal setting. And also make a mark, that this mark, if you have it, you will have this. That's why I said community must be involved. Then be close to your students. Want them to pass. When I went to school, my teachers didn't want me to pass. They flogged us, beat us. Olodo, they'll draw this thing, put one eye, one leg, do 0. But that's not how to treat a child. In fact, in the 6334 system, you're supposed to continuously assess. That means if he fails a test, you retake a test. Because you should improve in taking the second time. Even a third time. Because you are looking for the child to pass. You're not satisfied. I once had a professor when I was in my Master of Philosophy in Analytical Chemistry. I'm an analytical chemist. And I scored 98. And I said, Prof, this is 100. He said, Mrs. Chugogo, I own two marks. How can you score 100? Me, Professor Kwano, that taught you. I said, sir, but I scored 100 with the marking scheme. That is how we went to school. But you people can score 100 over 100. Because if you got the results, we'll give it to you. So caregivers, teachers, you have a role. And there's a reward for you. I once had a teacher who taught a holiday lesson to a student in a school. And the student made all A's in IGCSE. Just like our own students do. And the parent called the teacher and said, how much is your salary? And she said, 75,000 naira per month, many years ago. And the teacher said, I'm taking you to a school, you'll be paid 150. They doubled her salary. And she went to the school doubled her salary. The next day she came to my office. Admin, I have a new job. I said, what happened? She told me. He said, Admin, I know you will not be happy me leaving. I said, why not? Am I teaching rocket science here? How can you compare 75 to 150? Do they look like each other? In this economy, I beg, run with your leg touching your buttocks. There's a second teacher teaching biology, isn't it? She will continue. And we employ another biology teacher. Because a man's gift maketh way for him. She was able to transform this average student to straight A in an exam like IGCSE. So caregivers and teachers, you have your role. I may run down on it if I have more time, but let me go to the contribution of peers. For those of you who are students here, you are also part of the equation. And what is your own there? Students are in classes or sets. Classmates usually bond in school and later end up bonding for life through old students association. As peers, they help each other. We call it peer mentorship program in our school, where we pair students that are below average with outstanding achievers. Fellow students should be encouraged to help each other positively in character and learning. So are you a student here? And your classmate is not doing well and you know how to do it? Teach it. Teach that subject. That's why teach it to your peer who doesn't know it. You will know it better. The more you teach, the more you understand. The more you explain, the more you understand. So peers are also involved. Like I told you, it's hydra-headed. It's not just the child. It's not just the parent. It's not just the school. It's not just the teacher. It's not just the community. The peers too. What I mean by peers, those of them on the same level. They are class sets. Recently, you must have heard what Obi Kubana did. I know somebody that is his classmate at DMGS. And during the Christmas, he called them on their platform that in April, they should all come to Abuja. All bills paid. You know, flight tickets, they should come with their wives and children. That they sat in the same class. For maybe 6 or 5 years, I can't remember, in the same class at DMGS. And now, they are in life. that he is successful. He wants all his classmates to be successful. So can we have a reunion, a class reunion? And in that class reunion, let everybody say what he's doing. Let us see how we can help each other for the fraternity that we had as classmates, as peers in the secondary school. So peers are also involved in this transformation. Help your colleague in the area he or she doesn't know. We call it PMP, and it's working very well for us. Peer mentorship program. Then the contribution of parents. Like I said, charity begins at home, but does not end there. It begins at home, it does not end there. The role of parents cannot be overemphasized in the 6334 educational system in our country, which involves the first 6 years you must stay at home. The first 6 years should be completely day school. That is why there's no boarding nursery primary. It's against the law. Nursery primary should be at home, boarding, a day. Except you are physically challenged. That's why you have children's home school, school for the autistic. Then they can be put together in orphanage homes or something like that. But if you are well, your first 6 years of school should be at home, which is your 11th year of life. 3 years before nursery, you enter nursery 1, nursery 2, nursery 3, you become 6 years. So your first 6 years you're at home. That's the 3 years nursery and the 3 years at home. Then you now go to secondary for under 6 years. So minimum 11 years. You shouldn't be in a boarding school. You shouldn't be outside your parents' reach. You shouldn't be outside their reach. There should be homework takers, homework makers, book lookers, and all that. So if parents start like that, to start at that level, you see to their primary education. Some women tell me they are illiterate. When I talk to some women groups in our NGOs, that I don't know how to write, I don't know how to read, so how can I teach my child? I said, well, you can also get somebody to teach your child. A cousin, an auntie, an uncle, a relation, somebody that can teach your child. But not just only the school. So that first beginning of, they call it childhood education, should be a day affair. Don't ever give that rule to somebody else. When they come back from school, you look through what they are doing. So our school system allows you only to start the academic process of boarding or sending them away at secondary school. However, even as at that, you are expected as a parent to contribute greatly by these tips I'm going to give you about parenting. It's not all. Nobody can, no two children are the same. No two children are the same. So I have 6. And I can tell you that they are not the same. In fact, some of them are so different that we still ask ourselves, are you sure you came out from this belly? In fact, their friends ask them, are you sure it's his brother? Only with maybe facial looks and they bear the same name. Because one is very, very unassuming, very, very accepting, and one is the thing that will happen tomorrow. Download it to today. That is the one that will happen tomorrow. Bring it forward. But the other one is okay. So there's no tip I'm going to give you now that is, that can be the last. But there are ways to boost your child's academic potential. There are ways to boost your child's academic potential. You, the parents, read. If you're educated, please read. Read through your children's books. Read their textbooks. Read their notebooks. Use everyday experiences as teaching opportunities. Know what your child is studying at school. Don't just pack them and say, go to school. When it's time for JAMB, we go through a lot of problems like we are going through now. I want my son to be a doctor. But you never looked at his chemistry, biology, and physics. You never checked his results in science. Oh, he must be a doctor. I own a clinic and nobody is going to inherit it. I say, listen, this child's an art student. He will inherit your clinic as the director of administration. Employ a doctor as chief consultant of your hospital. Abi is a shareholder, isn't it? So don't just look for A's all the time, like Bro Thomas told us. Don't just force fit A on them. Gradually move them from that average to above average to this, and before you get to the A. Then take care of the basics. Make sure they have enough sleep, nutritious food, good hygiene, and regular medical care. A hungry child cannot study very well. That's why in America, 2 meals are provided. Nigeria tried it, feeding school program. I don't know if it's working, because I've not seen it in anywhere around me. But why do you think Oshibanje them are feeding students? Why? Because without a developed brain, without a healthy body, you cannot transform a child from average to outstanding. Talk to your teacher's child regularly. Talk to your teacher's child regularly. Attend the PTA meetings. Attend open days. The schools have open days where you can come and meet your school teacher and ask them. Allow your child to succeed and fall on their own without taking control. Don't do their homework for them. No. Don't underestimate the power of consequences. Allow them to learn to be responsible, dependable, organized through trial and error. You fail it, you do again. You fail it, you do again. Sometimes the best lessons come from failures or learning how not to do something. Like he said, you don't tell them, don't barb your hair, JB. No, no, no. We say, make sure your haircut is low. But if you like, put JB at the back. If you like, even draw African map at the back. It is you that maybe when you come to where people are decent, you'll be ashamed. It's not like when you wear short dress and you are in the church, some of the girls, you see them, they are doing like that. I said, no, open the leg now. Open it so that, I mean, it's uncomfortable. You can see it's uncomfortable. So they keep dragging it. And that's what we do. We do a war. We do a war. Or sometimes we call a health officer. After sewing school uniform, they will sew the ones that are tight, like corset, like this and like this. I called one of our ex-students who is a medical doctor. She's now in the UK. I said, come and give them a talk on why people don't have children because of lung collapse. All these music stars, you see them wear very tight clothes and all those things. They can't have children normally. They use surrogate. Because lung abajele, ugumba abajele. Over choices of dressing. So the same thing with academics. Oh, boy, you don't want to read, you want to fail. Tell him the risk of failing, the consequences. If you fail, this is what will happen to you. If you pass, this is what will happen to you. When they fail, say, okay, we are there now. Abi, rise up again. Rise up again. And you help them to rise up again, isn't it? Friends, my time is up. Let the school know your concerns if you have concerns. Positive attitude towards education of your children. Monitor their television and video game use and internet use. Like he told you, we are saying withdraw phone. Withdraw phone. How can you withdraw phone somebody that have seen phone? You bought Android for them. During the COVID, they use it for Google Classroom. They have the latest ones because you the parents, when you use, you give them, isn't it? So how are you going to withdraw now? Withdrawal syndrome. You're going to go through trauma. Yes, withdrawing phone from teenagers in Nigeria now will be quite traumatic because they are addicted to it. It's a narcotic. And when you have a narcotic, you start treating it as a narcotic. It needs therapy. It's not saying you don't go here, you don't go there, you don't go there. It needs gradual because it's a distraction. What distracts most of them is the social media and all that. But we may not go into that. Encourage your child to read. Talk with your child. Encourage her to use the library. Encourage your child to be responsible and work independently and active learning. All those times they used to go to internet and watch pornography. Let me tell you, I'm an educator. I'm going to 70 years. I'm more than 65. The average child does not use that Android for education. Quote me any day. He's either in TikTok, like Instagram, Facebook, different names, or he's on porn. I have given all of them Encyclopedia Britannica. 1.4 million is the library for per annum. But if I check now, none of them in this 1 month holiday has visited his page on Encyclopedia Britannica. Where they are visiting is where it's, appealing to them. But what do? It's a drug, and it blocks the brain. So most of the reasons why the academics is average is that there are brain blockers. Brain blockers. And what is the major brain blocker? The internet. Meanwhile, it's supposed to be the opposite. You don't need to buy a textbook in this generation. If you Google it, you get the answer. Mr. Google. Mr. Google has the answer to every subject. And you will pass. But if you are in internet Googling a strange man in India, who is your friend on Facebook, and your friend on Instagram, and reconstructing your mind, then you will not go far. So parents, please, this is a parenting summit. It's necessary. Be on the same page with your school. Be on the same page with the caregivers. Be on the same page with God. You are only a shorty, I told you from beginning. You are not the owner of children. The fruit of the womb is a reward. Children are hated unto the Lord. Take them to the Lord. In closing, a few years ago, my children were going to school, and I didn't like Nigerian universities. Not that I went to a Nigerian university. But then strike today, strike tomorrow. Then you will hear that Ife just closed now, and my children decide Modakeke Bush. And I'm in Port Harcourt. Before we would drive to Modakeke, and some children have missed. I said, no, let me bleed and see them outside the country. And somebody said, children go to school abroad, 1999, 2000, 2001. He go lost. When he reach there, they wear earring. He go Jericho in hair. He go lost. I say, my own picking go lost. No, now. Where did he learn Jericho hair? My husband Jericho hair? My husband wear earring? You say, now 16, 17, 18, they will learn it. I say, it will be difficult. Because if for 17 years, 18 years, they have not Jericho hair. To Jericho hair now, you will worry. However, I have a panacea, I have a drug. And that drug is spiritual. Every morning I wake up in the morning, I take up my Bible. I say, Father in heaven, I did not get children from Mommy Water. I did not get them from Boro. You are the one that gave them to me. The Bible said the children are hated until I'm only a shorty. You are the owner. The Bible told my children shall be taught of the Lord, and grace shall be their peace. So any other person going to teach them is in trouble. I did not dedicate them to the devil. So Lord, pursue them. Any devil come near them, kill and at sight, shoot at sight. I don't want anybody evil among them. And what I not teach, let nobody teach them in the mighty name of Jesus. I carry my bag, I go to work. The next morning again, I say, my children shall be taught of the Lord, and grace shall be their peace. I use the word of God. That's what I'm going to close with you today. Is your child not excelling? They are very brilliant. See, I've gone to graduations of first class graduates that were carrying last in Jephthah. Last in the class. Only for them to go to the university and realize themselves. And saw a different thing. And maybe that was when they now met the God, or met who, or agreed for Holy Spirit to help them. And at their graduation, they will send an invitation. Mommy, I gave you so much trouble at my first, when I came here. Mommy, I decided I'll make all of you proud. I made a first class in electrical engineering. And I will attend to reward an outstanding achiever. It's not easy for me to travel, to buy ticket and go pay hotel bill. But I will stand there smiling from one side to the other side, grinning, because this was a below average student making a first class in a world-class university. So parents, continue. Don't despair. Take it to the Lord in prayer. take it to the Lord and do your own part. There's a physical part and there's a spiritual part. Do your own part, then the balance, take it to the Lord in prayer and make the child take responsibility of his future. Tell him that you are the one that will determine who you be. I've bettered you. I've given you the kind of education I can afford, and I've given you. The rest is in your court. So play the ball well in Jesus' name. Thank you, because my time is up. Thank you.
That was outstanding. That was something else. It's above and beyond. Thank you so much. Extremely enlightening. If the thing touched you well, please stand up and give a resounding round of applause. Thank you so much, Mommy. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you. I wonder what the world would be without teachers. Please sit down. You can have your seat. Thank you so much. The transformation must start from the home. No argument to that. As outstanding, new definition, you have to stand out. There is no other way. You have to stand out. Thank you so much, ma'am. God bless you. The last one that hits me very well. Where did water enter coconut from before rainfall? We must discover and praise the Lord. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Mommy, we're grateful. It's a delight to have you today. Dr. Izu Chukwumetu. He has obtained a bachelor degree in medicine and bachelor in surgery in 2012 from the University of Port Harcourt. He holds a membership of the West African College of Physicians, MWACP 2019, and National Postgraduate Medical College of Nigeria, both in faculties of psychiatry. He is a European Association of Psychiatrists Mentor Awardee 2020. Volunteering with United Nations Office of Drug and Crime, he serves as focal person for drug data in Rivers State. He has had special trainings in addiction, psychiatry, and psychotherapy. He is the convener of Global Network of Crusaders Against Narcotics and Alcohol Abuse, a non-governmental organization that caters for females with drug use problem. Please put your hands together. He is a mental health specialist currently in the Department of Neuropsychiatry, the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital, and also consults in Elpida Rehabilitation Center at his spare time. He is a Christian, serving as the General Secretary of Christian Medical and Dental Association, Rivers State, and is married to his beautiful wife, Dr. Goodness Metu. Please, with an amazing round of applause, let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Izuchukwu Metu.
I'm really happy to be here today. I've been sitting down there listening to the speakers, and it's been amazing. It's been amazing. I've been to Wisdom Place a couple of times, and this is different. This is different. So I want to thank the pastor of the church, Pastor Wisdom, and Pastor Favor, for giving me this opportunity to be here with you once again. I want to also say something a little about Oga Thomas, the teenager Thomas. You know, that guy has been with teenagers. If you heard him speak, he has been with teenagers. Mr. Thomas, well done. Thank you very much. I learned a lot from what you said. I was just nodding here. And I've heard so much about you. I'm so glad to be here meeting you. And, you know, I have a niece that attended your school. And when you mentioned something, she said, don't worry, when you meet Mrs. Chukwuogo, you know, and all that. So thank you very much. That was very enlightening. Thank you very much. So today, we'll just be talking about parenting and mental health. I've been given the assignment to deliver this in 30 minutes, and I think it's going to be a bit difficult. Well, just try and follow me. Let's see how far we can go with that. Now, when you look at parenting and mental health, these are two words. I'm going to be defining it. Our aim today is to establish the relationship between parenting and mental health. How parenting can affect mental health and how mental health can affect parenting. Now, if you're talking about parenting, you're talking about two people, the parents and the children. And we're going to see how these things play out. So first, we'll define what mental health is. I start almost all my presentations by defining this, so that you get to understand that mental health, when you talk about mental health, it's not about someone walking on the streets without clothes or saying things people don't understand. It goes beyond that. And I believe that after today, most of us will feel free to have a chat with a mental health physician if you think there is need for that. Praise God. So mental health is a state of well-being in which an individual realizes his or her own potentials or abilities, can cope with normal stresses of life, can work productively and contribute meaningfully to the society. So when someone is not doing any of these, we say the person may be having a mental health challenge, one mental health challenge or the other. If you can't cope with normal stresses of life, if you cannot work productively and you're not able to contribute to your society, then there's a problem. Then another is parenting. When you talk about parenting, so that parenting is the process of raising children and providing them with protection and care in order to ensure their healthy development into adulthood. The word care is highlighted, providing them with protection and care in order to ensure their healthy development into adulthood. Now, you can agree with me that you may not be able to provide this protection and care if you have challenges with your mental health. So, you need to be mentally sound and mentally well to be able to carry out your role effectively as a parent. A child's healthy development can be determined by their parents or caregivers who act in role of parents. These people are the first source of support to the growing child. For every child that you see today, or most of us, all of us grew from when we are small till adulthood. When a child is born, the mind, the brain, or let me use the word the mind, is just about playing. So the child takes up whatever you put into him or her, and most times that determines how the child behaves or deals with challenges later on in life. So this is a family cycle. Most of us here seated may fall under one or two of those cycles. For some of us, we just got married. For some, we're about to get married. While for some, we have a young family, with young children, toddlers, infants, and all of that. For others here, you may have teenagers, may have teenagers as children. For some, your children, most your children have gotten married or they're about to get married and they're leaving the house. And these are different stages of parenting. Different stages. And for each of those stages, there are challenges in each of those stages. And we'll get to see that as we go on. Now, we're going to talk about the parents' mental health now. Most of us here are parents. So you just pay good attention to this. The child's social, emotional, cognitive, and language abilities, and even the child's future mental health can be linked to the quality of close interaction between the parents and the child. So you're giving, just like mommy told us today, children are a gift from the Lord. You're giving this gift to turn the child into what God wants the child to be. So if you don't have close interaction, that relationship with the child, the likelihood that the child may develop poorly in the social, emotional, cognitive, and even in language aspects may be there. When you talk about cognition, you talk about how the child is able to judge situations, how the child is able to plan, to organize, and to live his or his life. So you have a very big role to play. Now, one major risk factor for early poor patient-child interaction or relationship is poor parental mental health. Poor parental mental health. So if the mother or the father has issues with mental health and is not able to relate or interact well with the child, the likelihood that the child will not come out well in terms of his or her mental status, emotionally, socially, and cognitive-wise, is there. Studies have shown recently in the United States that children who were nursed by depressed parents, have 3 times the risk of developing depression and drug use problem in life. That is not to say that if anybody has a mental health condition that the children will not turn out well. No. But if you're able to identify a mental health condition on time and it's well addressed, it will help you to bond well with your children and they will come out well. Because you agree with me, if you understand what depression is all about, that when someone is depressed, the person has a reduced ability to interact freely with other persons. The person will be cold towards the children. The person will not have the ability to understand the emotions of the children, even the physical problems they are having. Because the person is trying to solve his or her own problems and not interested in the children. Praise God. So if you look at this diagram here, we are looking at what makes up an individual or a parent. First is the parent's psychological characteristics. For each of us sitting down here, we have personalities. There's something that we are known for. I could just say that there is someone here who who is quite anxious, likes avoiding problems, likes staying on his own, and likes things being done properly, quite obsessive about some things. And I know 1 or 2 persons may raise up, I think that's me they're talking about. I may also say that there are some persons who understand who they are, they stand out everywhere, they believe they're the best in all that they do, and all of that. And 1 or 2 persons may stand out and say, oh, they're talking about me. Because we have personalities. So this personality and emotionality colors are what we impact on our children. Another is social and cognitive processes and family of origin experiences. We've had experiences from our different families, how our parents brought us up, how things are supposed to be done. Is different from either your wife's or your husband's family. So you see 2 of you coming together from 2 different backgrounds with 2 different parental ideologies. Trying to now parent this gift that God has given unto you. Praise God. So that colors the way parents give out, take care of their children. And where is parents' psychological distress or mental illness? When a parent is depressed, is anxious, or has a psychotic problem or psychotic disorder, that will also affect how he or she relates with the child. A parent who uses substance, substance abuse can range from both severe tobacco use, alcohol use, to cannabis, methamphetamine, cocaine, and the rest of that. So if you have a parent, who uses substance, or even a woman, a male or a female who uses substance, even from the womb, the child may start having the effect of that substance. If a woman is smoking or drinking before delivery or while pregnant, and it has a way of affecting the brain development of that child too. And we're going to get to that. Then another is the context of parenting. What context? The context of parenting. How gainfully employed are the parents? How is their resources? What of the issue about shelter, accommodation? These issues are things that color parenting. If a parent is having difficulties with finances, with accommodation, with things around in social problems, employment, and all of that, it's definitely going to affect how that child is being raised. And remember, we are particular about the mental health of the child, as much as also the mental health of the parents. So studies have shown that 75% of mothers who were identified as being at risk in lack of sensitivity towards their infants 6 to 8 weeks postpartum reported to have depressive symptoms. Postpartum depression is very common. I know most of us must have heard of people who, after delivery, they started having some funny experiences, pushing their children away, crying or weeping excessively, or becoming aggressive, or attempting to attack their children, their child, and all of that. So postpartum depression is something to look out for, and it's been identified as 75% of mothers who were identified as being at risk of lack of sensitivity towards their children 6 to 8 weeks after delivery may have had depressive symptoms. Evidence also showed that depressed mothers are less sensitive towards their babies and less accurate in interpreting the baby's emotions and even physical symptoms. So you see, another thing I also brought out here is that apart from this the mother's experience, the paternal mental health has a way of affecting the woman's mental health, or the wife's or the maternal mental health. So if a man is a drug user, is depressed, or is aggressive, or is anxious, somehow, if that man is in the same house with the wife is going to have a share of whatever he's experiencing. And she's going to interpret it differently. And that will also follow through that chain to even have the child will see the parents and model after them. Praise God. And the next thing is that it's vice versa. The child may also be going through some form of emotional difficulties. You know, you have a family where you have 3 or 4 children. One is having emotional issues, and the parenting style or parenting, which we're going to see eventually, turns towards the child who have difficulties, and the entire atmosphere changes. And that's also a problem. So the child's mental health can affect the maternal mental health, can also affect the father's mental health or the paternal mental health. Now, what are the common mental health conditions parents get to face? I've talked about the maternal mental health conditions and in pregnancy. You know, pregnant women go through difficulties psychologically because it's not an easy task, you know, and they require a lot of mental health support within that period. If a woman who is pregnant is depressed, the likelihood of that woman going for antenatal care is reduced. The likelihood of her even being able to identify some symptoms in the body and to report to the doctor is also reduced. So the woman has to function at optimal mental health even while pregnant. The issue about use of substances and all of that, of course, that's ruled out because it's going to affect the baby. A woman who is depressed in pregnancy, it may also affect her nutrition and that of the baby as well. And you agree with me that while the baby is in the womb, a lot is happening. The brain is being formed, the body is being formed and all that. So you need the woman to be mentally sound and in good mental state while pregnant. Another is anxiety disorders, depressive disorders. Time will fail me to take these disorders one after the other to explain what they are. Psychotic disorders, substance use disorders. And the other one that doesn't appear to be like a mental health problem, but also cause some problems in the home, is that of domestic violence and divorce, as it were. Now let's look at child mental health. There's a close relationship between the mental health of children and their parents. We've already established that. There was a recent study that found out that 1 in 14 children has a caregiver with poor mental health. 1 out of 14. So if you have a group of 100 persons, it's assumed that it's assumed that about six children from those parents, those 100 parents, or how do I put it now? Like 1 in 14 children has a caregiver with poor mental health. Poor mental health. So if you have 100 people here, about 6 persons are going through one. If you have 100 parents here, about six of them are maybe going through one form of mental health condition or the other. I think that's what it means. Talking about the mental health of children, it involves reaching developmental and emotional milestones. At different points in their lives, there's an expectation of how to respond to emotions, how to respond to situations. Those are milestones. And learning healthy and social skills and how to cope with problems as they arise. Mentally healthy children are more likely to have a positive quality of life and are more likely to function well at home, in school, and in their communities. And that is what we should be aiming at. Now, there are different things we'll consider adverse childhood experiences. When you bring a child or even an adult or teenager to the clinic for us to see, we'll ask a lot of questions and we'll get to a point where we'll explore childhood history. Now, I can be seeing a 20-something-year-old female or male, and I'll want to go back to the childhood history to know if I can identify adverse childhood experiences that may have suggested the current experience the child is having or the person is having. One is being a victim of violence, abuse, or neglect at home. You agree with me that if a parent is suffering from a mental health condition, the issue of neglect may also be there towards the child. Violence, towards abuse, like mommy told us today, issue about physical and verbal abuse. You know, that will be common in a family where the parents are battling with mental health condition. And of course, you agree with me that if a child is having a mental health situation or mental health condition that the parents do not understand, of course, the response will be to beat up the child, because of problem with the behavior. Now, another advanced childhood experience will be witnessing violent acts in home or community. A family member attempting or committing suicide is also another problem. Witnessing substance use in the family is another problem. Then mental health problems amongst parents or anybody in the family which the child cannot understand is another issue. Then having parents who are separated, divorced, having issues with domestic violence or intimate partner violence and the rest of that is also a problem. These are adverse childhood experiences. A household member being incarcerated is also a problem. Now, what are the common mental health conditions in children and adolescents? One is neurodevelopmental disorders. One of the things we'll consider, some of the neurodevelopmental disorders we'll have is when you talk about autism. I don't know how many of us have heard about autism before. Autism, when you see that a child is socially withdrawn, rarely talks to people, wants to do things in a particular way, and may have self-injurious behavior. For some of them, they keep hitting their head somewhere if they're angry, or keep biting themselves. And they can arrange their toys in a particular way, and if you try to shift it, they become irritable or angry. They don't talk, they don't like playing with people. If you come back and you spread your hands to hug them, they don't even respond. They say they're socially or emotionally withdrawn. They have poor social communication. Now, another could be attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. When you see a child or a young male of about 5 years who is supposed to have outgrown jumping up and down, and you see the child cannot sit down one place in two or more organized settings. Now, if a child is very playful at home but comes to the church and is quite calm, goes to school and is calm, it's not expected that it's unlikely that it's a problem with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. But if the child is too playful at home, climbing from one place to the other, cannot wait for turns and the rest of that, and cannot sit in one place, even in an organized setting like the church and school, age between 5, 6, 7, and thereabouts, then the child may need a form of attention, from the professionals. So these are some of the neurodevelopmental disorders. Another is enuresis and encopresis. Here, in this part of the world, we've seen that as it's a common problem. It's not a big deal. He will stop and all of that. Enuresis is when a child continues to pass urine on bedwets on him or herself after the age of 5. Do you understand? It's a problem. It's a mental health situation. It's a condition that can be treated in the hospital by physicians and by therapists. Do you understand? The reason why you want to do that is because you don't want that child to develop low self-esteem. You want the child to be able to, integrate well with his or her peers, and do not feel low in any way. You understand? Also be able to catch up with academic activities. Because if you have a child who you send off to the boarding school at the age of 11, who is still bedwetting, it's going to be a big issue. A big issue. So, and these things are treatable. Encopresis is when they pass physics on themselves. Stain their pants and all of that, after the age of 5 or so. Now, another is conduct disorders. I wish time would permit me to say a lot about this, but I just have 40 minutes more and all of that. So, conduct disorders, when the child is defiant, is disobedient, stays away from the house, and this child is within the pre-adolescent age and all that. Then substance use disorders, eating disorders. Sometimes they don't eat at all. Sometimes they eat excessively. These are mental health conditions that can be handled. And these are things that can color parenting. You see a child who is eating too much, and you're lashing out at the child. Anywhere you see food, you're eating. Anywhere you see food, they born you born food. What is your problem? And the child is getting bigger and bigger and is eating. But unknowingly to you, that's a problem that needs to be attended to by a doctor or therapist in the hospital. Praise God. So depression, bipolar affective disorder, anxiety disorder, and psychotic disorder, there are just a whole lot of them. How do you identify mental health conditions in children? I'll try to be a bit fast so I can meet up with time. We'll take more of the responses when you ask questions. When a child has persistent sadness that lasts about 2 weeks or more, when a child is withdrawing from or avoiding social interaction, when a child is hurting oneself or talking about hurting oneself. Most of us here may also have had issues with children who cut themselves. They try to hurt themselves. If you get them angry, they just go, they will start cutting themselves or, doing things to themselves. Talking about death or suicide If a child has outburst or extreme irritability, it's a problem you need to look out for. When a child has out of control behavior that can be harmful, when a child has drastic changes in mood, behavior, or personality, then you need to ask more questions. When a child has changes in eating habits, either eating too much or eating less, which is unusual of his or her previous behavior, then you have to be worried. When a child is losing weight, drastically, you need to be worried. When a child has difficulty sleeping, you need to ask questions. When a child complains about frequent headaches and stomach aches, and you've been to the pediatrician, you've been to the hospital, and they can't just find anything. But the child complains, I've been having this headache, I can't concentrate, I can't read. If I bend down, I'm having headache, and I'm having stomach aches and all, and you've been going to the hospital frequently. You may just have to see a psychological physician. Difficulty concentrating, changes in academic performance. Funny enough, when I tell people that I'm a mental health physician and they get to look at me like, someone that treats people that are not mentally sound or mad people in quotes, I just laugh because it has more to do with a lot of things than what people think. Praise God. When a child is having problems with academics, we also address that. Intellectual problems, disabilities, specific developmental problem of scholastic skills, mathematics, and all of that. We'll handle that in the hospital. Avoiding or missing schools, those are ways to identify if the child is having a problem. Now, we look at parenting and mental health. We've established that the mental health of parents and children is connected in multiple ways. Parents who have their own mental health challenges may have more difficulty providing care for their child compared to parents who describe their mental health as good. Caring for children can be a huge problem or challenge for parents, especially if they lack resources and support. This can be a negative effect on the parent's mental health. There may also be a shared risk between parents and children, which includes inherited vulnerabilities, living in an unsafe environment, facing discrimination or deprivation. I've talked about that. Now we're going to look at parenting styles. We have about 4 parenting styles, and out of these 4, you can make out a lot more from it. And most of us have as I stated here, we have different parenting styles. One may dominate the other, and you may not just have to use only one, all through your all through parenting. As Mommy also pointed out, she mentioned that all children are different, and you may not just want to follow them with the same parenting at all times. So we're looking at 4 of them. One is permissive. I'm going to spend a little time here so we'll get to understand the rest of the slides. One is authoritative, neglectful, and authoritarian. Now, most of us fall into this one or two of these parenting styles. For the permissive parents, it is child-driven. They allow the child to do anything. You want yogurt, take. You want gala, you can have it. You don't want to sleep yet, no problem. You want to go to bed, that's fine. So they are permissive. And they overindulge the child to avoid conflict. They don't just want trouble. Most especially, these are the people that you eventually will call spoiled. They say this child is a spoiled child. Because anything he wants, if the child starts crying in church, the mother or the father is worried. Anything to avoid conflict. That's what we'll have here. Now, this arrow pointing upward, responsiveness and demandingness. This demandingness is towards the child, the demand towards the child. Responsiveness is towards the parent's response to the child. So you find out that for the permissive parents, the parents are more responsive and less demanding. This is low, this is high, and high. So the parents are more responsive to the child and less demanding on the child. You understand? Then the second one is being neglectful. Of course, you agree with me that most of the things we've mentioned here before now, that if a parent is having a mental health condition, 1 or 2 or more, that is not attended to, that's the word, that is not attended to, the parent may be uninvolved or absent, provide little nurturance or guidance, indifferent to child's social and emotional or behavioral needs. They don't care. They're not even around safe. Do you understand? They may be physically present, but not around. They are trying to solve their problems. They are trying to solve their own problems. If you've had issue with a mental health condition, either being depressed or anxious, you agree with me that it's not a good place to be. It's distressful. So you wouldn't even have time to start looking whether Junior is sitting down, whether he did homework or whether he did not do homework. You are trying to solve your own problem. So that's where you find them. And in terms of responsiveness, is low. In terms of demand on the child, is low. This is where you don't want to be. Now the next is authoritarian. It's patient-driven. This is the type that when you hear your father's horn or the knock, everybody, including the mother, everybody will just organize. You know, it's patient-driven, sets strict rules and punishments. The parents are the lords and master. You know, anything they say, you just obey. Like Thomas pointed out, you know, it's about them. It's patriarchal in quotes. It's a one-way communication. I'm going to tell you what to do and you don't respond. Just follow my instructions. I'm your father. I'm your mother. And all that. That's where you see this the authoritarian parenting style. Now, it's a one-way communication with little consideration of child's social, emotional, and behavioral needs. Now, you see the demandingness is high, but the responsiveness is low. Now, another is authoritative. Authoritative is when you almost go into partnership with a child. You should be able to understand that the child is an individual. Why you are an individual? Yes, you are the parent of the child, but the child is an individual. So you solve problems together with the child. Just like Mommy pointed out. You know, if the child, you need to carry the child along. If the child comes, there's something that Thomas said, which is quite important. When a child says, I want to have a nose piercing, you know, why I was laughing when he said that I've had the experience with a teenager. One of the times I was consulting. And the child says, I want a nose piercing. The first thing you need to do is not to shout or scold the child, because once you do that, it's over. It's over. There's no interaction that will go on again. You will now be more of authoritarian than authoritative. First is to accept, okay, that's fine. For the child to have thought about that nose piercing, he's coming from somewhere. And you need to know where he's coming from. So you say, that's fine, that's wonderful. Oh, nose piercing, that's interesting. Wow, tell me more about it. Then the child starts talking. Oh, I saw it here. I saw someone that looks like that, and I think I like it. That's okay. So how are you going to get it? Where? How much does it cost? Where do you think I can fit in? And the child feels that, oh, this is my friend, we are talking. You know, and eventually, after some time, you just give the child a good meal and all of that. But the next day, you continue talking. I mean, I've been thinking about that nose piercing. That's interesting. Tell me more. And people continue talking. You know? And eventually you pass the message, have you considered this? Why don't you consider this instead of the nose piercing? You give alternatives. You know, and all that. And establish pitfalls. Eventually in the course of your discussion. You establish pitfalls. And all of that. That reminds me, you told me that you want to be the MD of so-and-so company when you grow up and all of that. I don't think I've seen one with a nose piercing. Or have you? Then as an child is thinking, you know, and all that. So there should be a two-way communication. You solve problems together with the child. You set clear rules and expectations. There should be open communications and natural consequences. Natural consequences, like I said now. You know, if the child is coming up with some youthful things, some teenage things, and it's not in keeping with the child's dream, and all of that, you should also point that out. So a child will see and align, you know, towards the dream that he or she has. So there's also other psychological theories that have been postulated that has something to do with parenting. You know, one is disordered family communication by Bateson in 1956. It suggested that this occurs, that double bind, he called it double bind. It occurs when an instruction is given overtly, but contradicted by a second, more covert instruction. Now, a parent conveys two conflicting, incompatible messages to their child at the same time, with the child making ambiguous or meaningless responses. How do I mean by that? You tell a child, come here. And as the child is standing up, you say, will you sit down? The child is confused. From the same parent. It's conflicting. It's conflicting. Another could also be when you tell a child, communication can be verbal or non-verbal. I said it too. Can be verbal or non-verbal. So you tell a child, I'm your father, do not smoke. And the child sees you smoking every time. In fact, you send him to go and buy. It's conflicting. So this is one disordered family communication. And for a parent that said, my son, listen to me, do not lift your hand on any woman. Don't beat any woman. And he sees you daily, doing things that you're seeing the opposite and you're doing the other one. So it becomes quite worrisome. Then under his the Leeds in 1950 also talked about two types of abnormal family pattern. One is marital skew. One parent yields to the other, usually the mother eccentricities, which dominates the family. Now the father almost becoming like the mother, just tilting towards, it's meant to be balanced. But you see everybody in the family going towards one person. It becomes a problem. That's marital skew. Then there's a marital schism. When parents maintain contrary views so that the child has divided loyalties. The father says, I'm your father. Do not attend that church anymore. And the mother says, I'm your mother. Before 5 p.m., I want to see you in church. Come on. So who is the child going to follow? Do you understand? So this has been identified to have possibility of causing mental health problems in the child. Now, someone also came up eventually to debunk this and say, this may not be severe, this may not be so important in causing mental health conditions later on in life. But they also consider high expressed emotions, which involve hostility, critical comments, and